Oh, yeah. Hi guys. Nice to see you all again. Yeah, imagine reading chat. The final lemon. Hello, TC Bird. I don't think I know you. Hello, Falcony. Hello, SimonMarge. Hi guys. First of all, I want to say sorry it's taken so long to get this episode out because it's you either got to do this right or you don't do it at all. That's kind of the way we looked at this because this is a very very tricky topic. So the topic today is sort of the deeper game mechanics behind JoJo's. So have you ever thought to yourself how do tandems work? Because there's a lot of funky stuff going on behind the scenes and all that. I'm gonna tell you who's casting in a minute now. Um, learn me how to make babies. Yeah, that's not quite what this stream is for, but I'm sure I can refer some material to you afterwards. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the couch now. Have I ever thought to myself how to increase mic volume? It looks, I can turn it up a small bit. How's this? I turned it up a bit. Uh, the deep meaning of Jassy tandems. We can talk a little bit about Jassy tandems. Not too much though, because there's still a mystery greater than mankind understands. You just started playing JoJo's yesterday. That's cool to hear, man. Thanks for checking out this nice noise. Thanks. Thanks for checking out this stream. Maybe it won't click with you quite yet if you don't understand everything going on, but I hope you can come back to it anyway, or understand playing the game. What are Jassy tandems? Jassy tandems are what the community calls doing a random tandem in neutral with no confirm, mostly at like mid screen to full screen, and my mic settings are not maxed out, but I can turn it up even more, but I have to wonder about the quality at that point. I turned it way up, way, hugely up. So hopefully that sounds alright, guys. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to the stream proper now.
In the game?
Hey, hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
You should be here now, guys.
Cool.
Should be on stream.
Neato.
Do you wanna sound better, huh? Okay. We're gonna give a bit of a roll call here. So we have, of course, Za Pilgrim.
Hi.
Pilgrim, you're a bit of a newer player than a few of us, but
Yeah.
you have a bit to say on this from what I know. We have a GameGeezer here.
Hey, good morning.
Old man extraordinaire. And then Simon, of course, because Simon and JoJo's Jabber goes together at this point. Yes,
Hello.
This is a live podcast. Just to put a bit of spice on it, I suppose.
Yeah.
And we want to interact with chat a lot because a lot of this is a bit of a Q&A thing. So if you guys, if we talk about something and you guys don't fully understand it, or you want more details, you have another question related to it, or even just about deeper game mechanics in general, go ahead and ask them in chat because we will be watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm to be honest, Negalster. I'm not a huge fan of podcasts either, so that's why I'm doing a bit of a different spin on it with this.
Yeah.
When's Beanock in chat?
Good.
Am I
Yeah.
going to explain strange things like Oki? Oki is not okay. there are strange things about Oki, but Oki itself is not like a out there concept.
There he is. Here's Beanock.
Who do I think Beanock is? Shit.
That.
Wonderful.
That's
All right.
brilliant.
So,
Explain kind of shitty hitboxes.
game design bad.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna touch on that a bit. Will we kick off with a bit what you wanted to talk about, Simon?
Oh, well, there's a lot to talk about, but I think we can start by telling you guys like what the goal with this discussion is. Basically, we're just trying to basically almost paint a picture of the game by detailing some deeper parts of the mechanics, and give an idea of the meta, its intricacies, the game as a whole, and discussing design and balance pretty much by explaining one at a time some mechanics that people for a very long time have known simply through experience and repetition, and just experimentation without almost any tools. But now that we do have them, now that we have thanks to P on here, training mode, we can actually do things a little more easily. And we've actually found out a bunch of very, very interesting and also weird stuff that sheds some light on the stupid stuff that probably happened during the development of this game, because it's weird and there's some things that make absolutely no sense.
Yeah, it's some of the stuff that this game has is just it's very undercooked.
Yeah, undercooked is the right term.
Yeah, they had a bit of a skewed perspective when it came to game balance and game mechanics.
Also known as CAC is whack.
CAC is whack, yes.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely one of those games where we all say about like a lot of the newer console games, tiers don't really matter, and that's true for the most part. But you take a little seat back and you slap in JoJo's, it makes you kind of reevaluate that statement a little bit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the difference, like the difference between even even the top tiers and the high tiers, even, or like the upper part of the top tier, of the high tier, and the rest of everyone is just such a huge jump in in quality of design, and also character tools and everything. It's really big. It's a really big jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the top tiers can either use or choose to ignore game mechanics, and that's where a lot of strength comes in for them.
Yeah, what you're trying to do when you make a game is, have everybody get exposed to, the game mechanics that you're setting out. JoJo's does not do that.
Yeah, some characters get almost completely killed. Their mix-up almost completely killed by, for example, push blocking, and others really don't care even if the opponent push blocks, really, because the difference, the matchup can be so bad that even if you push block, my normal is unpunishable for you anyway. So I can just do whatever I want. Look at that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care, because you don't have a tool to punish this. I can just spam it, and there's nothing you can do because of that.
Especially if they have a bad guard cancel, that's like your only other out outside of
if it's bad, you actually have nothing in terms of defense, really.
The Final Lemon asks, would the idea of passive stands fall into this argument?
Yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Passive stand characters really don't have much going for them at all.
Yeah,
Like
and the stand gauge bar mechanic in general is kind of whack and also very undercooked. And let's actually talk about that right now, because we're gonna go in order when talking about the mechanics and going from following the order in the wiki for the most part, and then going through stuff that
The wiki
doesn't appear there.
touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the sort of stand bar, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So.
So.
Okay,
No,
you go, son.
All right. No, well, the stand bar. You guys know how it works. It's pretty easy. The only weird thing that happens with it, which is actually not too common to see, is that well, first of all, for example, there's no scaling to the stand gouge damage on hit. It always does the same damage, which is a good design choice because that makes combos and everything very consistent. But the for some weird reason, and I think it's an alright decision. When characters activate remote mode, if they can, you take double stand gouge damage on block and half on hit, which is kind of weird. I guess you could use it's alright if the remote stand gets hit and you don't want the opponent to just get much more extra damage for free by just stand crushing them as they would. Or make it so their combo doesn't drop immediately because the opponent is too far away and they just got a stand crash. But the fact that it takes double on block makes more sense because it adds to the high risk, high reward design of the mechanic, which makes sense. But at the same time, the whole stand bar, it's a guard bar, but also you can get hit and it gets reduced. Is very, 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 very undercooked in my opinion because it's such a it's so inconsequential. It only matters during combos, really, because all you have to do is turn it off, wait like 3 seconds, and you have all of your stand gouge back immediately. You don't really have to do anything. Even if the opponent has really strong pressure and continuous pressure, you don't really have to worry about much other than a little bit of chip if you just block forever and push block. Of course, unless you're against some character with crazy 50-50s, you're not going to be in much trouble. And so you can just block, but it doesn't really make much sense to me. It should really recharge slower, much slower.
Yeah.
That would make it a decent mechanic in that sense, because otherwise it's not a guard bar, it's not anything. It's just there for flavor.
Do you think the lengths are okay? There's only 3 lengths in the game, I'm sure, as everyone knows.
Yes, yeah.
There's 72, 80, 88.
Yeah, and the reason why Debo feels like he doesn't actually have 88 is because he's constantly remote. So you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he takes double.
Everyone takes double damage.
I'm not sure if it was known that there were only 3 lengths of stand bar until it was checked out in the training mode, but it was always sort of inconsequential anyway, because as you said, just turn your stand off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, look at all of the advantages you would get when having your stand on compared to all the disadvantages, and really it's no question you should have your stand on in a lot of matchups. You should not
you should
keep
definitely
it off
utilize
for the whole round.
Yeah, it's a decision that you make throughout the round. When do I want my stand on? For depending on the flow. But in some matchups, yeah, you're like, why would I turn off? I'm just gonna go stand on and go ham.
Yeah, that's a problem with passive stand characters. They don't get to make that choice.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was mentioning passive stand characters back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, for as much as this game focuses on Okies, having no hard knockdown with stand on is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I guess the real problem there is being forced to go for a stand crash to get a hard knockdown, and some characters can't help, cannot get that,
Yeah.
or like they cannot get that from specific starters. But there's some consistency at least there, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that whole aspect is really strange. It seems, I don't know, they're geared more towards like offense with some of the mechanics, like, and then even speaking on stand, like having stand mode on, some characters are able to turn it off and on without really much risk. Versus like Joseph, Joseph and Chaka specifically, weapon stands.
Mhm.
You have to like crouch cancel, stand off. Otherwise, you have like a brief couple frames of startup on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's a Vanilla Ice where it's very easy to avoid the startup time for stand on.
Yeah.
But
doesn't really have
yeah.
recovery even in it's bugged too. So thanks. Analyze.
Shout out
So,
to
Thanks,
Leo.
Ice.
Yeah, Guru
Yeah.
asked there, what is soft knockdown? So that's
You can
you can just
yeah.
tech when you hit the ground, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can tech and basically not have to deal with
With
the stupid amount of Okizeme in this game.
Yeah, ground techs in this game are very weird. There's a window where you can cancel them and into a special move, which makes a lot of stuff punishable, which sucks.
Dio's grab is the
Yeah.
famous example.
Khan's grab.
Khan's grab, yeah.
Yeah.
For
One
new
of the decisions they've done. They tried to
So,
do.
okay. Not gonna say too much on this balcony, but it was kind of a consensus held by the community for a long time that you should just pick a few from a bucket of the few, starter characters that are good for learning fundamentals with. But as we've grown as a community and we've seen more people succeed with the harder characters starting off, to be honest, as long as you're dedicated to the game and you really enjoy your character, you can get away with anyone.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be someone you like from the anime. Like if you play around with their game mechanics, like let's say I don't know, you pick up Hall Horse and you like how Hall Horse plays, like how he zones out, or you touch I don't know Devo or something, and you just really enjoy the idea of a puppet character. Sure, do your best. Go ahead, play that character.
Yeah.
It's
You
up to you.
shouldn't really listen when people tell you no, you should play this easier character because you're never gonna learn with this other one. No, just do whatever you want. First of all, enjoy yourself. Don't give
Yeah.
a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because if you're not having fun playing the game because you've been told to play a character, then you're probably not gonna stick around very long because it's not gonna be fun for you. Yeah, no, you're gonna get bored immediately. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Happened to me with a lot of games, and I just didn't care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you enjoy the character and the game enough, it doesn't matter how hard they are. You're gonna make it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just stick with it and you'll eventually get somewhere. You know? The fun is in getting better, and if you enjoy getting better with that character, what harm is it doing?
Yeah.
Even on the flip side too, like if it's a character, say you're one of the few that starts out with Dio, or one of the many, I should say. There's some things you have to accept are pretty difficult. So like if that's not really your thing, grinding out a specific combo for optimal damage, there's plenty of other characters. You can even pick a S Dio. It's still Dio, but
yeah.
Shadow.
Still Dio, but he's got to wipe his face.
Yeah, there you go. Sturdy.
All right.
Yeah.
Get
Then-
this man a washcloth.
Sure, that's answered his question more than adequately by now.
Yeah.
We were talking about stand bars, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we're done. We kind of said I said everything I really wanted to say because it's not an offensive mechanic. It's not well designed enough to be an offensive mechanic. I wouldn't touch the stain gauge damage on block, but I'd touch stain gauge damage. Sorry, on hit, but I would touch it on block. and how fast it recovers, and how long you're locked out if you get stand crashed, especially like if you get stand crashed, and then you should get your stand bar immediately back, but then be locked out for a longer time. There needs to be some sort of a consequence for having this fucking huge dude behind you punching the opponent for you and taking all the damage for you. There should be a consequence. There's just no downside. Well, there's every downside to not having one.
Yeah. That's why all the that's why all the active stand characters are in higher tiers, and all the passive stand are in lower tiers.
Also,
He's a weapon stand character. He does count, but that's only because he's a grappler in a game not built for them.
It's all right. He's all right. We like him.
He's cool. If you play Old Sif, you're a cool guy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. See? Exhibit number 1, GameGeezer.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Guru.
Estio is A tier, but that's kind of a special case, no? Yeah. That's because of his infinite way Oki and his incredibly damaging loop.
Yeah.
So
the terrible, no good, very bad loop.
Yeah, so Pet Shop and Shadow Deer, right? They're sort of the two exceptions to passive stand characters generally being bad. So that's because they have enough strengths that they can overcome the weakness of not having a stand bar, a stand gauge.
Yeah, they're very similar. Let's say that they go for the style of being or rather they take all of the downsides but don't care because they go the glass cannon way. So they optimize. They have all of the downsides. They maximize the downside, but they also maximize their fucking firepower in a way. They're both similar in the way they play.
Yeah, Shadow Dio, he can really feel bullied for not having a active stand versus top tiers. He can still sort of compete against them, but you do feel the loss. Similar thing for Pet Shop. Pet Shop, I don't know. Pet Shop's very strong, but he still does feel, you gotta play Pet Shop tight or you're going to die off one combo. That's how you play him.
It's like with Shadow Dew and Pet Shop, it's like an anti-tank missile versus a tank.
Yeah.
One guy carrying a rocket launcher with an anti-tank missile will die in like one shot. But
also will the tank.
If he gets that anti-tank missile shot, it's game over. He wins.
Yeah, that's the idea anyway. So that's why a lot of people complain about Shadow Deal, Pet Shop, because they're very polarizing. So when you beat Shadow Deal, you feel like you've beaten, you earn the win, and when he beats you, it feels like he cheated.
The cheese.
Yeah,
the cheese.
I get that a lot when I played. So when I beat them with Shadow Deal, and they say, "Wow, I have to play so much harder than you, a Shadow Deal player." I'm like, maybe.
Same thing with CAG.
As they're playing an active stand character.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
let's
gripes
change
aside.
subject.
Yeah.
So
next we have I guess maybe wake up, jumping, air techs, and landing and stuff like that. Movement in general. So rolling and blah blah.
Rubber Soul would be A tier if he were faster.
Maybe.
We love you, Bill. We love you.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, jumping. They've got. I think that's another interesting point too. With the game is they decided to go the route of having like 3 different type of jumps. You have your normal jump, your super jump, your hyper hop, and then you can also do that, forward, backward, what have you. And also helps combos too. So
Yeah, and also you can do it out of a dash, which it can be kind of different.
Oh, yeah,
Very
and there you go
slightly.
too. That too.
Yeah, it's like a hyper, the same trajectory as a hyper hop, but more momentum. Dashes in general are very weird in this game, and they vary a lot. There isn't even like there aren't even two types of dashes with straight dashes and straight dashes and runs. There's like a whole bunch because they have such weird properties they can't even be considered put into a single category, really.
Yeah.
So let's start with them actually.
Start with jumping.
Start with jumps. Jumps are very weird, and there's a reason for that. Some characters, for absolutely no reason, have very short jump startup. Very, very short. And
Yes.
so
for the people who don't know, when you press up, you don't immediately go into the air. There's a few frames where you go into what's called a jump squat, and then you're in the air.
Yeah.
And jump squat has its own properties and all that.
Yeah, basically just pre-jump frames, you could call them.
Yeah.
And I have some numbers here. I'm gonna say the number of pre-jump frames. So the next frame after this one is airborne. So for example, Jotaro has 6 pre-jump frames. His little squat animation lasts 6 frames, and then on the 7th frame, he's actually considered airborne. There's like standard speeds, I guess, because there's numbers that come up all over the place. There's 4, and you have Dio and Dio, the Josephs, and the whole horses. You have 5 with Ice, Devil, Pole. For some reason, stand on the Iggy, whose animation changes.
It's too bad. Too bad Ice's jump is absolutely garbage.
Yeah, kind of, pretty much.
He has instant air dash to make up for it, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
B pulls on 6, Rubber Soul, Mariah, and the Kakyoins and Jotaro. And then there's 4 characters who have stupidly fast jump start. They have 2 pre-jump frames. I don't know why. It's such a weird thing. You'd think mechanics like these would be standardized, but they're really not. You're gonna see a lot of discrepancies when it comes to these mechanics, because just it feels like characters were designed by people who never even talk to each other.
Very like a uniform.
Yeah, there was no uniform direction for the game. You're gonna see that as we talk about things, because it's readily apparent. Why wouldn't you standardize pre-jump frames other than for characters like old Joseph was a 720, where you can give him extra super jump pre-jump frames so that he can get out a 720 easier, stuff like that. Why would you not do that? But they didn't give a shit, because pre-jump frames aren't super cancelable or anything. It's just there. I guess they just went with the animation, and they assigned the pre-jump frames based on that. Beanock, exactly. I was gonna mention that, because this is actually extremely important. On top of having really fast jump startup, which is ridiculous, the characters are Avdol, Midler, Alessi, and Chaka. These 4 characters have 2 pre-jump frames. On top of that, most characters' hurt boxes, including Midler, as Beanock said, actually have their hurt box shrink and lift up from the ground for no reason during the first pre-jump frame, which makes no sense. So some characters' 2As, for example, you cannot hit these characters with them if they start jumping. You cannot. Even if they have 5 pre-jump frames and you have like a 1 frame startup, jab, crouch jab or whatever, you can't hit them. You can't, because they just dodge over the whole thing. It's like they jump before they're actually jumping. Yeah, exactly, Naiad. so some characters that can just hold up on wake up, like for example Midler, and they I'll talk about this thing in a second more thoroughly when we get to Oki, but you have exactly one frame to melee them with a 2A, which may also only have one active frame. So good luck. Good luck.
Milliseconds.
Yeah.
Absolute milliseconds.
It's frustrating. It gets to a point of frustration. You're like, is this Marvel 3? Are we chicken blocking? No? Okay.
No. We're not.
Yeah. Using a hitbox for Marvel 3.
Yeah.
Or
It's incredible. Well, that's the first nightmare that we're going to talk about. The second nightmare is wake up speeds. How about that? Wake up.
Ooh.
No. Wake up speeds and wake up in general. So wake up is weird. Also very weird. Well, the speeds vary a lot. Some characters get Oki, some characters don't.
Another point of frustration for me personally, but
yeah, absolutely. It's incredible. Nayad knows he has some of the best Oki in the game, but with Iggy. But guess what? Half the cast works. Half the cast it doesn't. Maybe 2 or 3 characters it's limited.
SDO wake up time or fucking old Joseph wake up time.
CAC wake up time.
Yeah, CAC wake up time.
CAC's only downside.
Pretty much, yeah. And his animations, like I guess they were rotoscoped and they look good, but Jesus, every person that I've showed the game to has told me, dude, his animations look too smooth and weird. I don't like them.
Yeah. What's the issue with all JoJo games always being like style over substance, where it's good style, but the substance is usually like heritage quality to Eyes of Heaven quality?
Yeah.
It's the JoJo way, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All-star battles in between.
It's always been planned to put these bits of data on the wiki.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're just running through them anyway, because there's still a few bits to finalize.
CAC was animated by a different team. Do we have confirmation?
They put a whole separate team on animating CAC.
No, as I said, it was probably rotoscope because it looks like Elena from Third Strike, and we know there she was. Like
that's
their animations look very similar, so that's my guess.
Yeah.
Then but wake up. As you all know, there are no reversals on wake up. You cannot act on the first frame that you're vulnerable in this game. There's one frame, and apparently Beanock said that it was 2, but I tested it multiple times and consistently was 1. You have one frame where you cannot act on wake up, where anything that you do other than block gets overridden. Nothing works, and it will instead happen on the next frame, which is the second frame where you're vulnerable. Which means if the opponent has good timing or has a ridiculously easy to time normal, we'll just blow you up, whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or grab.
Yeah, that's actually probably not going to happen because you're actually throw invincible for 3 frames on wake up.
That's nice.
It's all right. It's in other games too, but in this game it's weird because I'll explain in a second. And I also forgot something about jumping now that I think about it. When you wake up, the non-reversal frame and the subsequent 2 frames are completely throw invincible. Basically, you cannot be thrown by normal throws, and the command grab invincibility is actually bigger. And it's, I think, wait, let me find the number. Should have it here. Where is it?
What's it, 4 or 5? I think it was.
Yeah, 4. Yeah, you have 4 frames of command grab invincibility. Commanders will hit even slower then sorry, you have to wait even more for command grabs to properly hit. They'll just whiff. And for some reason, this command grab invincibility also carries over hit stun for some very weird reason. In fact, if you hit your opponent with a normal and then cancel into a command grab, like you would do with Boingo and with like Force C, for example, where you can come into his command grab very easily. On meaty, if you do a perfect 4C meaty and then 360, you'll actually not be able to grab them if they get hit. Same thing with Iggy's command grab. That's a very much more known trick to escape his unblockable setup. If you block, you get thrown. The command grab catches you because your command grab invincibility runs out. But if you get hit, it actually keeps on being there, even though you can come into command grabs. And if you try to jump, you probably will still get thrown unless you're one of the characters with 2 pre-jump frames, because I get to just hold up and I can't be thrown. You'll still be, which is normal in other games, but in this game, every other character can be thrown out of their pre-jump frames. Pre-jump frames are not throw invincible. They are command grab invincible though.
And that leads to a lot of players' gripes with shouts to SF2 Feilong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, especially in lag. You have to give it to him. He still knows how to throw you.
Yeah, dude is impressive. He's able to grab you as a offensive tool. We joke about the values on how was it 18 grabs for
18 grabs.
CAC?
19.
19. Yeah.
19 grabs to kill. I'll get you with 19 grabs.
Wonderful world of Kakyoin.
Yeah. So it's just really a mechanic that makes it obnoxious to, OP Midler, especially.
Yeah. Midler, Avdol, Alessi, and Chaka specifically. All those characters. Because they have good reversals, so if you try to throw them, they can just reverse a super. They can hold up. I'll go more into detail. They can hold up back and try to dodge lows because the hitboxes, and also block meaties. They can do that. So oaking them is a little bit more tricky as long as the opponent knows what they're doing.
Yeah, we gotta have a competition. Who's the most obnoxious character to try and okie?
I don't know. Probably Ice.
Ice, you think?
Yes, because if you're too late, Ice can reversal tandem and steal your fucking life.
Yeah.
Or rather, your soul. Like, it's over. Like, if the opponent notices that your Oki is lax or not tight at all, boom. Here, let me just tandem. Pet Shop has 3 pre-jump frames, but he doesn't care. And also, when he wakes up, he's still vulnerable to lows. But then suddenly his Herbox jerks to normal height, and guess what? Can't be hit anymore.
Yeah, Pet Shop jumping is very strange.
Yeah.
Because he flies instead of jumping. So usually, more often than not, you want to avoid flight. It's a strong enough gimmicky tool, but it's still gimmicky.
Yeah.
Mostly because you can't block in the air or avoid projectiles properly, even with your roll. Like, I remember somebody saying to me, "Oh, you never brought up the air roll in Pet Shop is OP," because that's honestly a non-factor at all times. Is air roll? It's so bad.
Yeah. And his air tech, which is a perfect segue into teching, his air tech is also the worst in the game because he can't act as he's going down and needs to go all the way down. So if you're up in the air and get hit out of it, guess what? Your opponent is getting a guaranteed NTR on you if you tech or if you don't.
Yeah, you kind of gotta. If you see them going for you, you can use the few iframes from teching. Just try and tech down to avoid what they're doing.
Yeah, but you gotta predict when they're gonna try and
Yeah,
hit you.
exactly.
Yeah, which is what we're gonna talk about with techs. Air techs and ground techs are very, very important. It's one of the things that people get wrong all the time, or rather get wrong. They don't think about. They don't think about when they're teching. When
It's
you
like, go ahead.
Hmm?
Oh, good. Sorry.
when you air tech, you have 4 directions where you can do it. You just press the ABC, or in 5K the macro, I guess, or whatever you want really, and you can hold no direction, hold down, hold left, or hold right. So teching in the air is pretty much a mix-up. You treat it like a mix-up. You don't just do it. There's scenarios in where you should just tech in a specific direction, which are, for example, if you can punish something by air teching a specific direction, like Holz's throw, you tech down. And down teching has pretty much no recovery. As soon as it happens, you're immediately able to do something. And many characters can start doing something by turning their stand on. They just turn stand on, and suddenly they're acting and they're doing something. And many punishes are based on that, because maybe in stand on their normals are too slow. Yes, exactly, Acute. Tech in 2 minutes, which people should stop doing that. It's like, personally, as an Avdol player, I keep telling people, think about how you tech, think about where you're going, because
Nah, bro, just tech forward.
Yeah,
Tech forward,
because
tech forward.
trying to get
Yeah.
back in is not always gonna work, because all I have to do is stand back and watch. If you're fighting any character that has any sort of anti-air capability, and you're not a character with a double jump, you're probably not gonna be able to avoid damage if you tech into your opponent. So, for example, say you get thrown by Avdol, and suddenly you're in the air, and you're tech into me. I'm just gonna get a guaranteed anti-air. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you do. If you're like Beeple, I'm just gonna anti-air. There's nothing you can do about it. You're gonna eat damage, and then you're gonna do it again, and then you're gonna need more damage, and then you're gonna do it again, and then you finally decide that it's not worth fighting this character anymore, and you stop teching. And I'm gonna get even more damage because you stop teching. And suddenly you're dead, and you don't want to play me anymore. All of this could have been avoided if instead of teching into me every time because you want to get in and get 236A, 236B, whatever, if you went in like that, you saw that it went in and you got hit the first time, realized, maybe his anti-airs are too good. Maybe I should stand my ground, tech down or neutral, and then try to work my way back in from there, rather than give him a guaranteed anti.
You got to treat it like an airborne Oki almost. Like you're deciding for the opponent, like what the wake up's going to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is, good players will have options for what the opponent is going to do when they tech all the time. So depending on the character, like a Whole Horse, Boingo, Avdol, Kakyoin, New Kakyoin, and a couple other characters that have like set play capabilities, they'll think about where the opponent is gonna tech, and they're gonna try and do something. If they see that the opponent thinks about teching, then there's a whole mix-up and metagame about it. Because if the opponent techs away from me, I get a free sensor as Avdol all the time, because it's almost unpunishable. Other than Dio, who can down tech and knife me if he sees me sending up a sensor, nobody can really punish me for it. I get a free sensor, maybe Shadow Dio, I guess, but I get a sensor which but I'll get hit if you tech back into me as I'm setting up the sensor. You get a free jump in, which is bad. So I need to show you that I do have the end here, that I'm gonna push you away every time. So then I can start doing that, and basically it becomes a mix-up. I could also, people are gonna start teching delayed, and to see what I'm doing, and at that point, that's where the game really starts, because they're trying to react. I'm predicting. Maybe the fact that they tech delayed gives me time to hit them again, stuff like that. It's very thoughtful in many matchups where you should know not to tech back in, or to tech down, or to tech away. It's just experience, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you play a lot, and you get to kind of notice, especially certain matchups, like what tech options the opponent has that actually works versus not. So, like, Jotaro stand on, if he's trying to tech chase an opponent, going back or forward teching, usually doesn't work out too well. Neutral tech, for the most part, is not all that great either. And then depending on down tech, like Acute was saying, down tech's pretty good. Like, a lot of people kind of transitioning from beginner to experienced. Down teching seems like the answer to everything, but there's even tech against that too. Depending on the character that you're playing, a simple walk under will get you your either throw or mix up there. The side switch is almost incredibly hard to see, so it's not exactly a answer for everything, but alternating between your techs and even delayed teching helps out too.
Yeah.
Down ticky can be a really great counter to walk unders too, and depending on the matchup, and on the knockdown. And down taking can just get you a jump in. If the opponent's just in your face, just trying to tech chase you, and suddenly you tech down and hit them in the face, that's a good way of actually getting you back in, rather than teching into them.
Yeah, like Rubber's 6S, not a long range poke, never has been. It's a tech chase. So if somebody tries to tech away from you, in the air, you can just hit them as they're running away, because it's a long reaching move, and ground normals are unblockable to air characters.
Yes. So it's a guaranteed end tier.
Did you know you can punish Khan's jump S a lot of the time with a well-timed down tech?
Really?
But don't do that, please. Khan is already bad enough without you punishing my 3 extra damage I get from spin. I still can't believe Capcom made each hit of air spin only do 1 damage and gave you 3 max. Like, what? What were they thinking? Oh man.
It's like a jumping A if jumping A was 3 hits.
An ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Man.
I see now we're about at the halfway point, so we're gonna have a quick ad break. Well, no, how is it gonna scale when it already does the minimum damage?
God. Ad break.
Yeah, ad break. Ad break.
All right.
Be back in a second, guys.
Hey, John. Have you been playing any computer games recently?
No, Garfield. I'm busy making lasagnas and working.
You mean jacking Attilas, John? Now let me tell you, John. You owe it to yourself to try out JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Heritage for the future.
Garfunkel, you fat cat, I don't want to play any of those games.
Listen, John, it's a classic Capcom fighter, one of the last games released on the PS3. It's criminally underrated, John, with a bombastic cast of 22 unique characters with mechanics hardly seen before or after HFTF. It's a treat. Even an adult like yourself can appreciate the game like this, John.
Gar feelings, I don't give a shit about this game or why I should play it. I'm going to take OE for his walk.
I'm sorry, John, But Odie is playing HFTF. He made the key. Because even a dog can play a key. You should try it, John. You seem like a vanilla ice player if you catch my drift.
I don't want any ice cream, Garfield. I just want some peace in my own home.
John, you can learn JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Heritage for the future even in the Fight Cave lobby. On the JoJo bandwidth or in the Discord. I'm sure even a schmuck like you can find the Discord link online.
That's it, Garfield, you fat cat. Stop talking about this JoJo Kaso game or you will face the consequences.
Eat my unblockables, John, you measly man. Alright, kids at home. Remember to play JoJo's at home over an Ethernet cable or Kayoe will put the net up your ass. Capiche.
All right. So, Finest Hour is a team tournament where you and a buddy go against a whole bunch of other teams to try and win a community tournament. It's my second time doing one of these things, and yeah, I hope it's gonna go better, and I hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, so you're going to be hosting it again soon, aren't you, Scott?
Yep.
Is it next Saturday?
Either next Saturday or the Saturday after.
So look out for that, guys. It's been a while since that happened. And yeah, usually I try and run a different ad. Well, it's not quite an ad. I'm not getting paid for it. Call it an ad for fun. Each jabber, just to add a bit of personality to it. Haven't rerun an ad yet, but you know, you can only make so many of them. Okay. So we got a few more things to talk about, don't we, guys?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
we do.
A lot.
A lot.
We'll actually speed through some things because they're not as topical but they're still worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Like lending recovery. In this game, it works like other games. You don't get to block low if you did an air action.
Mm-hmm.
But when you stand on, the recovery is actually faster than if you're in standoff. You have, I think, let me find it. You have, oh man, I didn't realize this was this disorganized. Wait, I'll find it. You have 4 frames of landing recovery in standoff and 2 frames in stand on.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So standoff actions are actually way more punishable, and dashing low attacks are perfect for that.
Cool.
It's a good mechanic, but the problem is that in this game, characters are some actions are way too riskless, and the fact that in stand on you have even less recovery makes them much harder to punish. Considering the fact that they have huge hitboxes, the characters have super weird jump arcs that some characters can't possibly cover, and all of that. It really sucks.
Jotaro coming in with the +20 air normals.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least it's not a 15-second long gapless block string that builds meter. Oh, Eunice.
All right.
Great game, terrible netcode.
Then there's throws and command grabs. Now throws get people really mad, as Geezer mentioned.
Yeah.
You can become a throw demon and pretty much win that way against inexperienced people, because they're 1 frame startup and 2 frames to tech.
That happened to me.
basically the game checks if the opponent is throwable on the frame you input 6C or 4C. And if yes, the next frame the throw happens. And these two frames are actually the tech window. Sometimes you notice people switch sides for apparently no reason when they tech, but that's because the first player to input the throw, if they input a back throw, and then the opponent techs on the second frame after the first frame of throw animation happens, they'll get side switched. And so say someone throws you back, and then the frame later you tech, suddenly boop, you just pop on different sides, which looks
if you
really
want a
weird.
guaranteed side switch, you go for the throw.
Yeah, pretty much. If you go for a back throw, you get a guaranteed side switch. Basically, because of I found out about the weird throw invincibility on Wake Up, basically by just testing meaties. And as I was testing for Chaka and Alessi, I couldn't throw them. There was no frame timing where I could throw them on Wake Up. And I had them in pre-jump frames. I was like, okay, there's no way. Pre-jump frames are throwable. There's no way they're in a throw invincible state now. But no, they were. I had them jump one frame later, and I could catch the second pre-jump frame. It was exactly like that. 2 frames of throw invincibility, excluding the non-reversal frame. Sorry. Normal throws cannot be comboed in 2, but command grabs can. And as I said, there's 4 plus 1, I guess, frames of command grab invincibility on Wake Up. The command grabs can combo into things though from things. Sorry,
like 5B for Avdol.
I mean, that's not like you mean into his hit grab. It's a hit grab, not a command grab.
Hit grab, not a command grab.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So more like old Joseph's 5A into 360.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a combo. It just doesn't increase the combo counter.
Mm-hmm. And the good thing is that it looks like it resets scaling for the command grab. So
it's good for me.
Unlike Iggy's damn buttons, which increase scaling a lot. Like his combos, if you combo into the hit grab after like a tandem, the hit grab is actually not going to do as much damage as it would if you use certain normals that increases the scaling a lot. Scaling still matters in his one. Then you cannot throw players who are in block stun, but command grabs can actually catch people who are in block stun. Both can catch push blocking opponents. So if you push block, you can be thrown by normal throw. So basically, the design choice behind push blocking technically is, I guess, you run the risk of getting thrown if you push block late because you give up your throw invincibility. Throws cannot be real punishes. This is something that a lot of people probably have experienced at some point. They tried to throw someone as they knew they were punishable, but suddenly the opponent teched out, which surprises people. But you can actually, at any point, if you're that you're throwable, you can tech always, unless you're rolling. If you roll, then you cannot tech out. But if but if you're like whiffing a super or something, and the opponent is right next to you or whatever, then you can and they try to throw you, then you can tech. Of course, it's still 2 frames, but still, I actually have seen a lot of people mistakenly tech out as they were spamming push block against me.
Yeah, that's not good. You never spam push block.
Yeah,
you gotta do it with some form of restraint, because if they predict that you're gonna push block, they might just try and
they can do a lot of things. We'll talk about it.
Here's the thing. I I've actually heard stories because the style of grabs in this game is not universal. Well, not universal, but a lot of '90s Capcom games did this, and like I've heard stories of fist fights because of this kind of thing in Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, pretty much. Because especially when in the original Street Fighter 2, where you couldn't tech throws.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some throw
Glad
animations. Huh? Oh,
Glad
sorry.
they fixed that in the best Street Fighters.
Some throw animations do not bother making any of the two players invincible, but they do cancel projectiles of the thrown player as it counts as them getting hit.
Yeah.
And tech hits do not make players invincible either, which is creates very weird situations. Like for example, Avdol can set an ank and then release it and throw the opponent. The ank will hit the opponent as Avdol as a Magician's Red is choking them, and then they'll get kicked by him and take even more damage.
Wow, that's brutal.
Yeah, that's very brutal. Whole Horse can throw glass and then throw you, and then you can try and tech the throw, and guess what happens? The tech happens, and you get hit by air glass.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe I've seen JoJo's grab Iggy in the corner. Iggy techs, and then Jotaro punishes the tech with a Starbreaker.
All right.
Which is ridiculous.
Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah, I think didn't he? Isn't it on ground tech only? Because Iggy's ground tech is trash.
I'd have to look at it again. But
Yeah. Then let's talk about. Well, command grabs are really inconsistent. Let's go quickly over them. A lot of them have a lot of pre-flash startup, which doesn't really matter, to be honest. It matters for comboing purposes. But some of them have startup after the flash, which means you can easily react to them and hold up, since pre-jump frames are not command grab vulnerable.
Yeah.
So
That's
Rubber
why
Soul's
it's-
command grab, just jump. Just jump. It has 0 pre-flash startup, but 6 frames of post-flash startup, which means you can just jump, just back jump. Absolutely never get hit by it like that, just at random. Unless he sets up into it, he has no way of forcing you to eat it.
Yeah.
The only true like 720s, like even old Seth's 720 has 2 frames of startup post flash, which should make it jumpable. But Potato Boy actually found that you cannot. And I saw that you cannot, and Potato Boy found that you can actually roll through them. There's a 1 frame window where you can roll and not get hit by 720.
Huh.
Very weird. Same with
Yeah.
Hoindo's command grab.
is that with every roll?
Yeah, like he did it with in his Whole Horse task, I think. Like he just was about to get hit by old Seth 720, just rolled out of it post flash. Very weird.
There wasn't even a struggle.
Yeah, no, just woof,
Just
out of there.
off with their head.
Off of their head. The only very strong commanders are Kak and Yukak demons, as they both have 0 startup on post or pre-flash. They're true demons.
Yeah, as soon as you wake up, you're gonna get greeted to a breakfast in bed
Yeah.
by a fucking raging demon, Hierophant Green.
Yeah. Screw your cute angle. Shut up. Well, next topic, very quickly, because we're running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
What was the next thing?
Unblockables.
Oh no, unblockables. They're gonna need a. We can't breeze through them.
Okay. Push blocking.
That's
Push blocking is very important. People don't think about it at all. They just push block and push block and push block because it makes them feel safer to have the opponent away from them. And this is where I'm probably gonna sound very salty, but people need to stop saying that frame data doesn't matter in this game. People say, "Oh, well, frame data doesn't matter." No, we don't have it, but because it doesn't matter, it's hard to get, but it doesn't matter. We don't need it. No, you need it because dashing normals in this game are very, very good. You should know your frame data on the startup on your dashing normals, because knowing that means that you can do an instant dashing normal after push blocking and punish things. Push blocking, knowing what your opponent has that's punishable after a push block, not only allows you to punish some things, but take your turn back in general. You don't have to take all the bullying for certain characters. You should know when their stuff is not real, where there's gaps, and you create those gaps by push blocking smartly and knowing when to actually act. And that's why you need frame data. It's extremely important with push blocking because it reduces frame advantage by quite a bit, but it depends on the attack. So some attacks go from being slightly plus, so they have like they're +2 or +3, to being punishable, like -10. Yeah, it's really big difference. While some attacks, like light normals in general, it doesn't really matter. Like Alessi's light normals go from being plus something to being 0, so it's all right. You mainly push block to keep him away.
Probably the prime example of push block punishes that most people learn when they get used to the game is Shadow Dio pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if Shadow Dio, he goes up to you and he's doing his loop on you blocking, that's not safe, right?
Yeah.
That's a very unsafe practice for a Shadow Dio to do.
If you push block his S, he's not safe anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
he's revealed his address to the world.
Yeah.
He's basically what's the term where he's basically doxed himself.
Yeah, yeah, that's why when you play against more experienced Shadow Dio players, they'll usually just give it up with a dashing A S, back off a little, because if they try to keep going in after the S, they're not safe if you push block well.
Yep.
Yeah, the first thing that you notice in a good Shadow Dio is when they back off after you push blocked properly.
Yeah.
If they back off, then they're smart.
Anybody can unga bunga, but it takes a real, genius to know when to unga bunga and when to not.
Exactly.
Did you mention the static nature of push blocks?
What do you mean with that?
It's always the same.
Oh well, yeah. It's always the same.
So if you push block late, it's like worse than if you push block late, it can be worse than not push blocking at all.
They're not push blocking, yes, because it still has a standard animation. So the frame data usually refers to push block, instant push block. So as soon as you get hit, as soon as you block, you push block. Mm-hmm. Which means if you push block a little later, maybe you won't have the exact same frame advantage. Or rather, your opponent won't have the same frame disadvantage. And if you push block too late on normals that have very short duration, you'll actually be stuck in a push block, while the opponent maybe is already walking towards you, ready to throw you,
approaching you so he can kick your ass.
Yeah, exactly. Happens all the time. People just remember about push blocking as soon as they see the opponent get close too much, and then suddenly they get thrown out of the push block.
Yeah.
The one thing that you have to remember not to do when getting rushed down is panic. You cannot panic.
Yeah.
Because if you panic, you're gonna eat a full combo, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And know what to push block as well too, like push blocking things that don't actually push your opponent back. Super disadvantageous. Like we saw in a South American tournament. I forget the players now, but Kakyoin pressure, specifically Kakyoin pressure with
Was
nets.
it Lucas?
I'm not gonna name names, but I think
But let's call him Bucus.
let's call him Bucus.
Bite speed Bucus.
His whole for a good couple rounds. I'm gonna say couple rounds, all the rounds. Set up a net, watch for the push block. You're already walking up with Kakyoin at that point. So as soon as the push block's initiated, grab and just rinse and repeat essentially because the opponent had normal wake up time or moderate wake up time anyway. But those are just one example of many that push blocking is generally decent, not always good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, what we mentioned about the late push blocking. Sometimes you can use it to sort of mix up your opponent, but more often than not,
Yeah.
it messes with their brain. Like, why would they push block that late?
Yeah, sometimes the push blocking late actually you can actually if you push block immediately, they can react to that and not do something that would be unsafe if they get push blocked out of range.
Yeah, if they're very close, they could hit you. You're still in block stun, they start moving towards you again. Then you push block.
They can create frame trap like that, and frame traps like that. And if you push block late, then they suddenly whiff something out of range. You can whiff punish that. It's kind of specific, this sort of thing, but it can work.
Yeah.
What's the sorry to interrupt. It just came to mind too. I think it's fairly important. I'm not sure if we have the data on it right now, but the properties where primarily in the corner you're push blocking something that normally has a pushback to it, and you're just essentially stuck in place. Have we got anything on that?
I wouldn't think that it would be pushed back further, but it might. I kind of feel it.
So could you give like a scenario? Like
so, for example, in the corner, and you're facing, say,
Shadow Dio?
You're facing away from the corner. So it could be Shadow Dio, it could be we'll say Shadow Dio, right? So you're in the corner, and it'll be 2A spam pretty much. Opponents push blocking, and normally they should be push block away, but instead it keeps them in place. So you can essentially sit there 2A all day, push blocking, and both of you are not going anywhere.
Oh, I see. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I couldn't find a proper explanation for that, nor like anything. Really, it happens inconsistently too, very inconsistently. So I don't know.
Yeah, usually, well, it's a bit of a common thing. Usually, the way they work it, as we all know, is that if your opponent can't be pushed back, like they're against the corner, you get pushed back instead.
Yeah.
But with push block, it gets inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Next topic, because we have 3 left, pretty much.
3 left.
Yeah. Pre-block, cross-ups, and unblockables. Now, this is interesting. When it comes to unblockables, we should start with unblockables, and then when we come to specific types of unblockables, we'll talk about the rest. High-low unblockables are very common. They're very, very common. They're a common strategy because there's multiple, like stand attacks allow you to do that. There's overhead stand attacks. There's overhead
stand attacks.
Yeah, there's overhead projectiles and stuff like that all over the place, and it's pretty easy to time it so that it hits overhead as you're also hitting low. Whole Horse, Vanilla Ice, of course, come to mind immediately. There are very good characters at doing that and have consistent setups. Now, there's always one way you can block these types of mix-ups. You can basically follow like a handbook. Either the opponent or like not a handbook, a flowchart. That's the word I was looking for. If the opponent fucks it up, they're probably gonna fuck it up in a predictable way. That's that's the whole thing. That's the whole concept of the flowchart. If you're about to eat a nice unblockable, most likely the overhead is gonna come first, because it's much easier to fuck up the dash up timing rather than the overhead timing. It's much easier to screw that one up. So block high first, and then block low second. If he makes it in time, it's gonna be a true unblockable. If he messes it up, it's probably gonna be messed up in this way. And for whole horse, it's hard to find a more consistent pattern, but it's usually block the low. Try to block low first, because if he does slide or projectiles, you won't get knocked down, or you will suffer less hit stun.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't get to combo you, or like his setups aren't as good.
And unblockables are one of the only reasons that Hole is as high on the tier list as he is.
Yeah,
like,
I guess.
Take away those, and he would no doubt be bottom tier. That's why Hole and Boingo is.
He's got a lot of gimmicks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not fun. It's about as fun as watching a signal flare. Watching a signal flare.
Just a
You're good
signal
with that,
flare.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unlit signal flare.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect metaphor. All right.
Watching
Then-
paint dry.
The second type of unblockable, which actually exists in this game for some ungodly reason that we'll go over, is left-right. Somehow, left-right unblockables technically exist, but they don't work the way you think they do, because there's cross-up protection on things like that. This game actually has cross-up protection. So,
Ooh, fancy.
yeah, it's pretty good. When two things are about to hit you from two different sides, all you have to do is block towards your opponent, and you'll block both sides, both things. But if you cannot block the other thing from the other side for some reason, then you will basically you have to technically switch blocking directions in the middle, and that's what you think, right? But no, in this game you only have to get the first blocking direction right, and then you'll automatically block the other attacks. So say Pet Shop tries to cross you up with icicles, you only have to block the first bit, and then you'll block the rest.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah.
I suspect this might have been on purpose, considering how tandems can be used very easily.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
because
You'll sort
if
of
you're
see it in
blocking,
fandoms.
if you're blocking Vanilla Ice trying to 2A you from one end, how are you supposed to block Cream doing ABC reps from the other side at the same time?
This is not exactly the same thing. You can actually block the stand from both directions. There's stuff like that, like Holz's glass. It doesn't matter what direction you're holding. You can block. You block it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is why people think they can people think that it locks them down, because whatever direction they're holding, they can't move forward, they can't move back, and so they feel blocked. Devil does have that, and we'll talk about this in a second. Basically, tandems work like that, but Pet Shop's icicles, the icicle actually needs to be blocked from the direction it was generated in. So if Pet Shop crosses up with his teleport, he can actually technically do a left-right unblockable, but it cannot happen because all you have to do, it cannannot happen.
It's a cross-up.
It's a cross-up.
Yeah.
It's a cross-up rather than an unblockable. But there's something very weird with the positioning of what triggers what actually lets you block, the thing that actually lets you block in the game. And it's called pre-guard animation. The pre-guard animation is, for example, if you're Dio, when you're about to block something, you'll see that the world's silhouette will appear in front of Dio and sort of protect him, right? Because that's what you do in technically in JoJo's. You let your stand. You let your stand block for you.
Yeah, let your stand do it, because
Otherwise, you get smacked. Yeah. And that's what lets you block. You cannot block if you cannot enter a pre-guard animation.
Nope.
And we understood that when we found out that there's ranges where some things can be completely unblockable, regardless of whether your opponent can, the direction your opponent holds, because the hitbox that causes you to enter pre-guard, which has a specific length, which determines the range at which you'll stop walking and start blocking, rather than basically where the opponent can stop, can keep you in that animation if you rather than let you walk back while whiffing normals. Right? Yeah, pre-guard. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Basically, there's ranges where the opponent can keep you doing that rather than jumping by whiffing a normal in front of you during block strings and stuff like that. It's very common to use in games, and it's the basis for fireball traps in Super Turbo, where they throw a fireball and then throw it a normal, and you can't do anything because you're stuck in the pre-block animation. There really isn't stuff like that in JoJo's because there's push blocking and all that, but the hitboxes that cause this, which I'm guessing is hitboxes because there's no blockable cross-up protection thing in this game. If something has cross-up protection, the hitbox triggers for both directions, so you can block it in both directions. But they're placed so badly that there's ranges where you can point, well, you can aim the things at a specific range, and the opponent cannot block it because they cannot enter in contact with the pre-block thing, which lets them go into pre-block.
So example for that would be, say, like Whole Horse's, I believe it's S, where you're able to input, directions for the bullet. So if the bullet happens to go over the opponent and then come back, you don't get that pre-block for it. So it hits you almost like an unblockable. Even if
pretty much. There's a very small range where that can happen. It has to be angled weirdly. But there's a bunch of videos floating around that have been recently in the last weeks from SQ, Otojo, and other people.
The big boys upstairs.
Yeah. They've been testing this stuff lately. Basically, me and Pion found out about a bunch of things pretty much at the same time about Pet Shop. His icicle can work like this.
Really?
Alessi's gun, Iggy's sandball. If you aim them properly, they become unblockable, which is very, very, very weird.
It's a little easier to set up with a Alessi's gun or Iggy's sandball than Pet Shop's icicle.
Pet Shop's icicle, there's a very small range. Pion, do you still have the video to put on stream?
It's like nearly frame perfect. It's or sorry, pixel perfect.
Yeah, do you have it?
See if I still have that.
Yeah,
I don't think I do.
Well, I think it's in RDMs. No, Nets cannot work with that. I think their entire hitbox is way too big.
Has anyone tested if you ever blocked Polnareff's
Shooting Star?
Shooting Star. Or no, the super, I think it's Radar?
Yeah.
I forget the name now, but...
what does it do?
Last Shot?
Yeah, there you go. So if you do the BC version of it, that's... And the opponent's
I think the one where it goes on the ceiling and the floor repeatedly.
Yeah,
that one. I think there's a range where it can be unblockable, and I've had it happen to me certainly.
So same concept, pretty much.
Yeah, it's very inconsistent and very weird, and it sucks. Really sucks because then some characters actually have guaranteed kills. Like if Alessi gets a hard knockdown against some characters with his 2C, and they're they have less than 14 health, suddenly the gun is a guaranteed kill. Yeah.
Yeah, so to reiterate, guys, you can think of it as you're only able to start blocking if you're in block stun. when
Yep.
you're blocking, you can block pretty much anything, right?
Yeah.
You can actually
Yeah.
see that with young Joseph. Some of you guys might have seen him blocking ham on beam, like your opponent being able to block ham on beam.
What?
If he hits some, yeah, if he's already blocking, right? So let's say he does a C, what do you call it, crossbow. You know
Yeah.
how
Right.
it goes all the way around the screen, and he times the Stone of Asia just right. Your opponent
Mhm.
could be blocking the ball, and then the unblockable laser hits, but they're already blocking.
Does this happen with slow bullet as well?
It should.
Yeah.
Maybe
Basically,
there's some glass setup or something you can do.
Yeah.
The concept of those unblockable things, I guess, is that they have no hitbox that triggers pre-guard, and therefore you
Yeah.
cannot block them.
So it probably doesn't work quite the way you'd expect, but it still works most of the time how you want it to.
Yeah.
And go ahead,
And there's
Simon.
actually very, very, very weird things also when you're jumping. I could find no pattern to this, but if you block an air normal in the right direction, you have a random number amount of times where you can block the wrong direction. So you can hold up forward and block air attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boygiz said that this was actually a decent mechanic, and I want to clarify. I don't think that this episode is supposed to be game stinky, bad poo poo game. It's more of these are how the mechanics are. Let's discuss these, and how undercooked or good
Yeah.
they may be.
To be honest, a lot of these quirks are probably coming from Capcom feeling crunch or something and then throwing something together.
Yeah.
Probably, yes.
Less
They spent-
than a concentrated mind map from
Spending a lot of
game
time on the
designers.
style,
Absolutely.
not the substance.
All right.
At least
That's-
Alpha
last-
was pretty good.
Last two things. How much time do we have? Like 30 minutes?
20, 30 minutes.
20
yeah.
minutes.
Actually,
Yeah,
have
20.
we talked about up, down, and unblockables?
Yes.
No, we haven't.
Up, bottom.
Oh, yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Have we mentioned the one frame guard cancel thing?
No.
Ooh,
Oh,
I forgot about it.
Okay, I'll make it quick.
iframes. Yeah.
So I learned about this from Tazing Pet Shop a lot. I was just coming to terms with them. So there's 3 potential unblockable frames in JoJo's, right? First scenario is the icicle hits high. This is just using Pet Shop as an example. It's applicable to other characters. Icicle hits high. Next frame you hit low. Okay.
Mhm.
Second one is you hit low. Next frame icicle hits high. Third one is they hit on the same frame. So to explain that, it takes a frame in JoJo's to go from blocking high to blocking low. So if you block high on the first frame, you can't block low on the second frame because you're
Yes.
still moving from blocking high to blocking low. So the only way to actually get out of that scenario is to do a 1 frame guard cancel, which is where you buffer a DP, then hold back, then press attack, right? And the guard cancel will come out. But the thing is, most people can't do 1 frame guard cancels consistently, so you end up in a practical situation. There's 3 possible scenarios for up, down, and blockables, with
I don't
only
think
one of
anybody-
them being absolutely true, but the other 2 being nearly impossible to escape.
I don't think anybody can do 1 frame guard cancels consistently.
No.
I'm sure there's a Japanese player out there.
That's all he does.
With
He's just the
Chaka.
guard cancel king.
Yeah,
Yeah, with Chaka.
Can't play neutral, doesn't know combos, but God forbid you try and hit him.
yeah. Oh yeah, and if 2 attacks hit on the same frame, it's kind of a toss up what happens. Usually, almost always, the special takes priority. It gains the properties of the special. So for example, I'm sure people have seen it before, where a Hall Horse does his glass and then a slide. There's actually sometimes they don't fall over. That's because
They
the
just stand
slide
there.
and the glass, well, either they hit on the same frame or the glass hits again after the slide. I think I'd have to check again if that can happen, but definitely if they hit on the same frame, glass takes priority.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always work like that, but usually that's
Yeah.
how
Which
priority
is
taken.
why you pretty much have to rely on the rule of if he's gonna fuck it up, he's probably gonna fuck it up in the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
So rely on that.
That's a brief overview of up, down, and blockables. You don't really need to know much more past that, to be honest.
All right.
All
That
right.
was a very interesting discussion about unblockables.
Yes, so it's stuff that you'll probably never see, and that you'll hope for the best. You'll survive.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of play around just not getting into those situations for the most part, but
My parents were killed by Pet Shop.
John was killed by Pet Shop.
Can we do stages now? I really want to do stages because
All right, sure.
Slow bullet doesn't work, John. All right.
Oh man.
Stage size.
All right, stage size. Stage size. There's actually not much variance at all. People used to think that there were many
Yeah.
different stage
Like
sizes,
the,
but there really aren't. There's 3.
Yeah, what was it? The hotel stage was infamous for being
4.
the smallest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or,
A hotel room and infirmary.
But yeah, it turns out the infirmary is the same size.
Yeah, that's the hotel room. Hotel room and infirmary are both the exact same size, 768 pixels, converted from the hexadecimal value that I found out manually.
I don't think I've ever seen infirmary in a tournament.
Because it depends. Like JoJo versus Kakuin can happen. It's really weird why it doesn't show up many times. It somehow shows up for Alessi.
What is Alessi doing at a high
alternate
school?
Scenario where he goes to Japan.
Yeah.
Alessi hates kids.
Then there's 2 other anomalous stages, because the cell is actually larger than the hotel infirmary. It's 848 pixels. For some reason, it's bigger. I have no idea. And then the airplane is also much bigger at 1020 pixels. And then every other stage is 1024. I don't know why the airplane is 4 pixels smaller.
Yeah. I remember the airplane being known as small. It's the same size. Well, it's nearly the same size as pretty much every map in the game.
I don't know why people thought that it was. Probably because it's multi-sectioned. It's got 3 different parts pretty much. Cockpit, the fucking, how's it called? The hostess and the steward lounge, quote unquote, the part where they hang out, and then the passengers, and then the back.
And
so
the worst corners in the game, hands down.
Yeah. Oh my god. The cockpit, Alessi in the cockpit is pretty much like he's good there. He can sit there forever. He's fine. You can't even see him.
Man, Khan would love that stage if he could go there.
Yeah.
Short guy. Invisible 2As.
And the interesting thing about these two is the how the camera interacts with like the stage itself, or not even present for some stages actually. So you get weird things where like the whole horse glass unblockable doesn't actually, or the setup for it doesn't actually exist anymore. It's just you're either asking for it. I mean, you're still asking for it either way if you let the setup happen, but the pool of the camera is non-existent, say on hotel room or infirmary.
Oh,
yeah, because in some stages the screen doesn't stretch, like in the airplane.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about the camera. I've been trying to figure out how the camera works in the RAM to work around with some Lewis script stuff. But I just, for the life of me, I can't find any connection between what the camera is apparently doing and what's going on in the RAM. Like, not even the game knows what the camera is doing.
You know, that's why you're not allowed going up into the cockpit on flights, because Alessi is real and he's just crouch blocking there.
Yeah.
It's like, it's this place. It's this hidey hole. now.
Gating you. Yeah.
In every flight ever, there's Alessi.
Yeah. And the stages too are semi-canon for the most part,
Yeah,
except for
'cause,
we talked about Devo.
Shadow Dio, Dio and Shadow Dio, all of his stages are night.
Oh yes.
So
All three vampire characters.
Yeah.
Ice 2.
Ice 2. Like, all their stages, are either at night or inside, so that no sunlight is there. And it makes sense, because if there were sunlight, they wouldn't be characters, which to some people wouldn't be all that bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
God.
All right. Before we go to the thing, I wanted to mention a couple of things. Tandem startup is not universal. Some characters
I saw someone talking about this. They said that it was. I had
No,
to
it's
correct
not.
them.
Yeah, it's not. Tandem startup is not the same. Some characters have three, like a Chaka with custom combo, Ice, and Dio. Other characters have four, and others five. The Joseph has a 6-frame startup for some reason. And Devo has the slowest for no reason. He has 13 frames of startup. The iframes afterwards are standardized though. As long as you release immediately and you don't hold S, you have 17 frames of invincibility,
Wow,
and
17.
yeah.
Oh my god.
17. Both you and the stand share those iframes, and the tandem is forced to move all the way. They're still vulnerable as soon as those things end, and you're locked out of your 214S, whatever it is. For I think Potato Boy confirmed that it's exactly 120 frames, so 2 seconds. And yeah, pretty much. Really, that's all there is to it of more advanced. There's some inconsistencies with when the tandem is supposed to stop. Sometimes it just keeps on walking towards the opponent for no reason, maybe because of collision boxes, but it's very weird.
Oh,
I remember. Yeah, before you guys get into that, wasn't it due also? I remember hearing from the German guys, and I could be wrong, but the reason the stand goes out for as long as it does sometimes is if there's, like, say for example, Polnareff, because this is just what I run into all the time. I have him on the wall. I'm sorry, Silver Chariot's out, and I happen to hop over the opponent as they're doing, say, tandem. They're going to go towards the direction of the stand for the most part.
Yeah, that's
it's
actually
just
like a hidden mechanic in the game. Almost a lot of things follow the stand.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's a carryover from JoJo's Venture when pretty much every single thing did. So a common example, right, is if you have Polnareff and you throw up, as you said, Shooting Star, tandems will follow it. Devo's Barrel Crusher 214 AA. Actually, Shooting Star follows the stand as well.
When in remote, yeah.
Not necessarily remote.
No. The Shooting Star will
remote
follow
as well, right? But so for example, I see it as Shadow Deal. If they're trying to, if I see them when they're trying to go for a Shooting Star, I can throw out S, and they're gonna follow the S rather than hit Shadow Deal.
Yeah, same thing with Avdol. If I'm in remote and they throw out Shooting Star, it'll follow Magician's Red, not me.
Yeah.
There's tracking like that, and for some reason.
And,
But yeah, the last
I was afraid you were going to ask about how sometimes tandems won't start attacking based on certain. I don't even want to.
The SDO.
Okay, let's not talk.
Yeah.
yeah,
We have no clue how any of that works. So if you guys
Let's-
have ever seen like young Joseph's Stone of Asia punish on a tandem, just like
he has a punish for Stone of Asia. Wait,
yeah, if
they're
you've ever
punishing
seen it,
Joseph, or Joseph's punishing them?
Joseph's punishing them. Like
What?
you see them throw out a Jassy tandem.
Oh no.
He does Stone of Asia. They run into him. They just push him. They don't start attacking. They just push him. And then Stone of Asia comes out and hits the stand. And because of how tandems work, they can't recall the stand either. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
you can
have
only recall
no
your
clue.
stand if it's not in active frames. So like only when it's starting up an attack.
Yeah, we have no clue how that works. But to boot, it's not even that uncommon. Like almost every character has something they can do, like, where they can trigger that, or
Yeah.
you see it a lot. But we have
Yeah.
no idea why that happens.
Of course, you can dash in, but Lemon, your tandem's gonna be moving so fast it'll push. Unless you're Kakyoin, it'll push away young Joseph so far away that you can't reach him.
Huh.
Yeah, it'll keep pushing him because he's trying to get to him, but he can't, and so he pushes him.
It's silly.
That's fair.
Yeah, very silly.
Silly boy.
The last 2 points. Now that we've had all this talk about the mechanics, to sort of wrap up, since we're running out of time.
Yeah.
And basically, these mechanics create specific scenarios in this game. Like on Wake Up, since there are no reversals, the game is heavily skewed towards meaties. People think they can do Wake Up supers, press buttons, and they can. It's just that they have a much lower success rate because the good players will pretty much almost always at least kneel like a 1 or 2 frame late meaty, which may still win because the timing for a frame late Wake Up is still 1 frame. That being said, not all Loki is real. So 9 times out of 10, blocking will be your best options when it comes to try to take your turn back. But if you know that your opponent's gonna go for a dash in as Oki, but it's not gonna hit in the first frame, you can try and tandem and do something, and maybe it'll work. But they'll probably also be able to whiff cancel into their own super. So be careful about that. Blocking is mostly your best chance.
Yeah. Like. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Then, when compared to other games, the Oki mix-up is very unorthodox because there are certain mechanics to keep things clean, reward reads and conditioning, but because the balancing is bad, some tactics are just invalidated because there's a hard counter, like Iggy's command grab, and other options, as other escape options that we good are also out of the picture. Like jumping, you cannot like do a guard jump. You cannot try to jump out of throws, or you can only do it in command grabs, and command grabs are very rare. The 2 weird throw invincible frames don't do much to avoid throws because of that, and command grab invulnerability is weirdly extended to hit stun, rendering like Iggy's setups not as good. Basically, has to always rely on conditioning. Push blocking distance, tandems, how mashable normals are, the rewards they give, and everything. They're way too good. While going for anything else pretty much is going to expose you to danger. Example, the characters do this well are like Joro and Shadow Dio, where they have good Oki. Joro has 50-50. He has a good tick throw. Shadow Dio has infinite way Oki and all of that. And this pattern, unfortunately, is pretty much just destroyed by Kak, who has perfectly safe everything. He doesn't care. he's always gonna be able to do a meaty. Either it's a 2B or an instant air drill, which has instant startup, a crap ton of active frames. So you have to react, and then he can release net. So he stops he can stop your guard cancel. He can do whatever he wants and be almost always safe. And characters like Midler, who pretty much because of the thing that I explained earlier, she can hold up back, dodge non-perfect meaty 1 frame 2As, low attacks, and this actually works very well because you can dodge attacks like Polnareff 2C with this. Polnareff 2C actually has a very, very low to the ground hitbox, so you can dodge it with pre-jump frames. So it's not as bad of a tactic as it seems. She can hold up. Yeah, she can hold up back, block true meaties, and then not give a shit. And jump out of throws, she's completely. And this is the first scenario. The second is actual pressure. In actual pressure, now again, I'm going to use the same pattern. There's good mechanics. There's some things that are better, and some characters do it good, and some characters do it terribly. Give me a second here. All right. Push blocking pretty much almost ruins every single thing that concerns close range pressure, especially when it comes to like light normals and tick throws. The distance at which pushes you relative to most characters' effective mix-up range is big. And the frame advantage loss is even bigger. Most characters pretty much going from being plus to really minus, and eliminating any mix-up. One wrong push block normal and you're out. Fortunately, you can do some things to stop that. Many standoff specials pretty much function as kind of like an FADC from Street Fighter 4, where you can cancel out of whatever animation you're doing into something that lets you move immediately afterwards. And you can do basically there's many different special moves that allow you to do this. There's overheads, there's ice, there's just straight hits, there's fireballs and whatnot. They can be especially effective but still punishable if the opponent push blocks right and looks out for them. Basically, if you don't have many options to mix up between overs and lows to open up an opponent, you basically have to rely on frame traps, and frame traps suffer greatly because of push blocking. Either you're someone like Rubber Soul, who really, really, really loves if the opponent keeps on blocking and push blocking because he has retarded frame advantage. Honestly, he has incredible frame advantage from every single one of his normals and his S specials. Not every single one of his normals. His A's are very good. His S normals are incredible.
What about 2S?
No, not 2S. So, yeah. 5S, 6S, whatever, JS, all of those. Very, very good. Even when push block, there's still like plus 10 or something. Pion, do you still have the thing?
I have it.
Yeah. Just put it on screen. Just and also Alessi's standoff. Have that one. Or I guess he has a one for both stand on and standoff. Yeah, put them both. If you don't have them, I'll send it to you. Because it's
one.
Yeah, it's oh my god. What a mess. What a mess.
Yike.
Yeah, yikers.
Yoink!
Let me find
Gosh, Scoob, look at those unblockables. Okay.
Oh wait, no, that's Avdol. Sorry, I had that wrong.
Whoops.
That's Celestial. Delete Avdol.
Oh, nice.
We're using OBS here, right?
Look at that. The rubber. Look at all the plus. Look at all the
look at
green.
the startup.
Yeah. Free real estate. Free real estate. All that frame advantage. Look, is 5A is +6 on +4 on block, +1 on push block.
Yeah.
Yeah, +16 on block, +12 on push block. All of those. Yeah, that's a lot of green.
You know, there's a there's a lot of people who say nothing in life is free. They have never met CAC. They have never met CAC mains.
Cack or
Yeah.
rubber when it's close to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing in life is free. This chip damage is.
Yes. This is.
Man,
This
that
is.
startup is 2 frames. Startup. I had no. Wow. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Looking at the numbers now, I never had all this previously to look at.
2
So this
frame.
is very. And
Yeah.
this
Two
And
frame
this is
startup
Alessi.
for 5A.
This is Alessi.
Oh no.
Yeah. The only green that he has is his jumping.
No.
Oh
Oh
love
no.
that -69.
And he's got a floaty jump too on top of that. So it's
Yeah.
like, all right, what are we gonna do?
No.
He's got pretty much nothing. The only good thing
No.
that he has are his dashing 2A, maybe. And that's it.
Dashes are good, yeah. Dashes
Yeah,
are
he's-
good, even on push block
Look
are not
at the
bad.
size of his hitbox.
Man.
Ugh.
No. This is terrible.
Yeah, he's got a handful of things that are good. While Rubber just has good frames everywhere, and so he's able to use it very, very well. Now I may be biased on this, but Avdol also uses these mechanics very, very well because he gets to use his fireball to extend pressure. He has great stagger windows, great hitboxes on normal, so he can both attack and defend very well. He can push block and use fast stand-on normals or stand-off pokes to push block, and then if you're trying to cancel into something, he recovers and can 6C you or stand on for 5B. He can do a lot of things. And pretty much this is how you want to play this game in general. As the defender, you push block to get yourself out of trouble with purpose, to know when to take your turn and be patient in general, as the risk is just not worth it. While as the attacker, you find out when your opponent likes to push block, mash, or respect your pressure, and how to capitalize on and implement your mix-ups.
Yeah.
While
there's-
the characters that break this, Polnareff and Kakyoin. Kakyoin again.
Roll that.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at Shooting Star.
Yeah, Shooting
And-
Star and Kakyoin and and Nets.
Look at those special moves. Aren't they just the most balanced ones you've ever seen?
Not at all.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to wonder
that's-
if someone came into a boardroom or whatever with a draft of Kakyoin. He's like, "This is what Kakyoin will do," and everyone was like, "Yeah, this is fine."
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. And then the little con guy in the corner who thought his character would be the benchmark to balance the game. All right.
Khan's do not steal original character.
Dear
Original.
God.
I can't help but think that was what happened.
You know, there's you can tell when you play Khan. There's a lot of good intentions behind his moves. It nearly feels like an accident that 2A is as good as it is. Everything else is like intentionally bad.
Now, Mr. Smith, I want you to look at this. Now, 5B, punishable on hit. I think that's a great idea.
Let's do it.
Joseph, overhead, punishable on hit. Jesus.
I like it. Let's go for it.
Oh my god. Some of the decisions they made in this game when it comes to frame data is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much this is the entire point. This game, it feels like the employees who made this game never even talked to each other. Like they had no communication.
Exactly.
Some people created the game mechanics, maybe even had them together very quickly, and then character design was simply created based on their, and then not balanced at all. They just had some concept and then decided to not care at all.
Also known as this game, stinky poo poo, but not really.
But not really, because even though it's trash when it comes to many things, there's still leeway for skill.
It's fun.
It's really on the line. Like, it's very close to being trash, but it's got just enough going for it that you can take it somewhat seriously and have fun.
And isn't that the spirit of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
Yeah,
It truly is. Truly is.
The game has good design decisions. Like when you look at a single mechanic at a time, some are questionable, not necessarily bad.
And then when you look at the bigger picture,
yeah.
I mean, it was going in a good direction, I think, too. Like, it's just, when you culminate it all together, and then you look at the actual data that's provided and break down the characters and how they interact with each other, that's when things get kind of messy.
Yeah. The character design and balancing completely gets in the way of any good thing the game has going for it, really. But it's not there's still wiggle room when it comes to skill. That is to say that the game is not so bad you can't possibly win against some high tiers or top tiers because skill still matters a lot.
I don't know, man. That Khan versus CAC match.
Jesus, yeah. And we're not even talking about
Mariah.
Okay, but like a mid-tier versus a high tier.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's work. It's definitely a lot of work, that's for sure.
As a old Civ extraordinaire, you must know a lot about that.
There's certain matchups you just don't do things. Like you gotta wait for that opening and then abuse what actually works,
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
This game is much better than Venture. Those of you who've had the misfortune to suffer Venture will know this to be true.
Not even playing it in a competitive sense or deep game knowledge sense, I'm still say
yeah. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe if the arcade market didn't crash and JoJo's got a third revision, it would be a perfect game.
JoJo's HFTF
Super Turbo EX Latte version.
Yeah.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. No, Super JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Heritage for the Future Turbo Edition 2 Electric Boogaloo, the movie, the game.
Featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
Yeah, we're playing Second Impact when
with all new funky mode.
Yeah, when we could have got Third Strike.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been cool if they nerfed Kakyoin into the ground like they did Sean.
Second Impact Sean.
Yeah, and they just had the Emerald Splash do no damage, and because nobody can block the Emerald Splash.
Everyone can do it.
Yeah, they made it unblockable but deal no damage.
Yes, or like tickle your character.
Right.
Rototant or something like that.
Tandem time.
Have you seen tandems back in Venture or the PlayStation version?
Thanks, I hate it.
They ouch. I can't even remember if they had a cooldown on tandems. I'd have to check that again. No, I forget what the exact number it is. It's like 90 frames or something. You can't do another tandem after doing that. I can't even remember if Venture had that.
I just remember the input timing window is like the shortest out of the two. It was out of the three versions of the game, I should say.
Yeah, like the cancel windows are smaller and the input buffer is even tighter. Like in this game, there's decent input buffer in specific situations, like after text and after rolling. I guess there's a couple things like that, but mostly it's one frame timings. In that game, there isn't even the rest. It's just one frame timing.
Damn.
Just learned about one frame timings. That shit sucks, bro.
Yeah.
Look, Can's got loads of one frame combos. Okay, if you want one frame stuff, come to Can.
Go to Khan.
He's the high tier
He may
when
not.
it comes to combo difficulty.
He may not be the tallest, or the most capable, or the smartest, but he gives a good haircut.
Oh, you can be sure of that.
You can be
You
sure
will
of
look
that.
sharp. You are
Takes
going
a
to
little
look
at the
good.
top, or just takes the top off. You know.
Nah, I
Whatever you want.
mean, Polnareff trusted him with giving him a haircut.
Yeah.
He went from the chin.
Oh, well, right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What happened to Khan afterwards? He got this
I
like
mean,
big slash in his chest from Anubis. He didn't
Polnareff
die.
might not be the best judge of character. You know.
I'm
Polnareff
sure
is
he's
cool.
fine. I'm sure he's fine.
If Polnareff is so cool, then why did they
He's so cool. They made Polnareff 2. Anyway,
he's so...
I'm wondering
That's the
now,
nerf he found with that.
does the chat have any questions for us? We've
Yeah,
thrown a
'cause,
lot at them. Are there any sort of things in the game that happen that you don't really understand? We can't necessarily answer every question, but hopefully we can answer most of them.
Yeah. Are we gonna do any matches on stream, or are we gonna skip that today?
No.
Yeah, we probably don't have time for that. And,
Yeah,
skip
it
that
was
for
been
today.
2 hours and 15 minutes.
It's
No, wait, no, 2 hours, I think.
it would have been just
Booster,
over.
right?
Yeah, it's a little over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, any questions?
Yeah, I don't think you can really demonstrate most deep game mechanics unless you have like frame advance passing capabilities.
Frame editor.
There's a little deflect animation when certain stamina hit also S2 and 4. Okay, that's called
Cool.
the community calls that the Brazilian reset, right?
Mhm.
That was no, I'm serious. That was not known to the community
No.
until ROM hacking came along and we were experimenting with moves and stuff. So we're not. I don't think we're in. You know how Blazing Fist works? It's meant to be a sort of tiny Blazing Fist. That's
Yeah.
the idea of it.
It's like if you've played Melty Blood, it's basically Clash Frames.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
It's something that has no reason or no purpose of being in the game, but it's there.
It's
It's like Danger Time for Guilty Gear, but
yeah,
minus
you
the Danger Time.
you can treat it like armor pretty much, but you don't take damage.
Armor that only works against very, very specific moves.
Yeah, very specific attacks. Like normally, Clash Frames work in this way, where you'll clash with any attack if your attack is Clash Frames. But in this game, both attacks need to have these types of frames, and it works with a lot of stand normals. But it's such a weird requirement because I've seen Avdol 2B and Kakyoin 5B stand on clash like that, and I've seen my Avdol 2B clash with old Sif 2-1 stand on 2-1-4A. I've seen stuff like that happen all the time. I've seen old Sif, do that against Emerald Splash and all these things. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many attacks really can trigger it.
Acute asks, why when he does stand on 2C he passes through bullets?
Because
Okay, you can either say cactum or what's probably happening is either you're getting random iframes, which is something that happens surprisingly often with active stand characters, or there's some strange hurtbox shifting going on.
Yeah,
which
like
is probably
Avdol stand on 2B has a weird hole on his at the level of his chest that allows him to just go through whole horse's bullet if he just does 2C, for example.
Yeah.
Sorry,
The
2B.
problem
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Like,
and there's also another thing about random iframes. Polnareff's turn standoff animation gives
Yeah, he can turn his stand off. Jotaro gets extra ones from rolling,
from rolling, yes.
but not if he does anything. He has to roll and then stand still, or he won't get them.
Yeah, so if you want to use that, you have to roll and then wait a second and then mash.
Yeah, but it's usually enough though if they're trying to meaty you out of a roll.
Yeah.
mash your giant fingers against the tiny buttons of your fight stick.
Yeah. Then you can activate Jotaro mode.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the new game mechanic that every character has in the sequel, Jotaro mode. Even Jotaro has Jotaro mode.
It does go with his
got
name.
that too.
Yes, why is it that when you hold block against a projectile without getting hit, like Maria's 5S, then get crossed up, you can push a button and block?
What do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Hold
there's
against a projectile without getting hit, and crossed up, you can push a button and block.
that depends what character you're testing this on, because there's some attacks that whose startup or parts of their animation can actually be cancelled by pre-block animations. So for some reason, normally pre-block animations override everything but attack startup, but some attacks can actually be interrupted by that. Same way you can roll cancel some attacks. For example, Calculating 5C, LSC 2C, they can both be roll cancelled. If you go with Young Joseph and you have the opponent press a button one frame before you do, and then you press 2C, what will happen is that you'll hear the soundbite for Young Joseph 2C, but it won't come out because the opponent would have hit him, and so he enters pre-guard. So, for example, if you have a really light normal, fast light normal, like a 2A, and then you do that and you test it, you'll see that the attack won't come out as long as you're holding down back to have pre-guard, which is really weird. I think that's the sort of thing that's happening there, because the static bullet allows you to constantly be in pre-guard, and then you're doing some attack that can be cancelled that way. Chaka, that's very weird.
Chaka is your question.
No.
Chaka indeed.
No. He said that he's testing it with Chaka. What attack? What attack? Specifically, because I don't know.
Something to do with a direction.
Yeah,
Most
no.
likely-
I know his question. I'm asking him what attack he's testing this with. 5A. I don't know. Because the only attacks that I've ever seen display this effect where pre-guard stops them from starting up are Young Joseph 2C, Whole Horse 2C, and some other attacks. Like sometimes you'll hear some characters do the sound effect for their normal, but they didn't do anything. And that's when that is happening, because they just press the normal. They try to, like, for example, you'll hear a lot of the times if you're fighting a bad Whole Horse, you hear the soundbite for his slide, which is very loud and long. But he won't do it. It won't be doing anything. That's because you quote unquote stuffed it because he was holding down back while doing it, and you did a faster normal, which had him enter pre-block, which canceled the startup. It's like a one frame thing for that normal specifically. Well, it's not a one frame thing for Young Joseph 2C. In fact, that normal can literally be in its active frames, almost in its active frames, and get canceled by pre-block. It's completely safe to do at specific ranges. It'll either win or trade because of this property.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be something we have to follow up on the Chaka thing. But
Yeah.
I think we're about finished up with the stream, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yep. Any closing remarks, guys?
Game bad.
Game bad.
But play it. But play
Game
it.
bad.
Final hour 2 soon. Finest hour.
Finest hour.
Finest hour.
How did you mess that up?
I don't know. I've seen I've been annoyed by other people messing it up like that, and then I do it. I've betrayed everything I live for.
Sorry.
All of my personal beliefs and goals.
No, you live. Sorry.
Okay.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Yeah, that seems like a good point to cut off the couch on. So thanks for sticking around, guys. Maybe this was a little bit harder to understand than the other ones. There were a few newer players in the chat at some point. I wonder if you guys are still around. But thanks for tuning in anyway. I hope we've answered at least a few of your questions. Even if they're questions you didn't have until we started talking about the topic. No, I don't smell acute. Okay, I wash often. Okay, guys. I'll see you around hopefully next week. Hopefully it won't be quite as long as a break. I'm still here, that's good to hear.
Hey, John. Have you been playing any computer games recently?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
Garfield.
Oops, that was the wrong one. See you around, guys.